In this video lecture, we are going to learn how to change molecular formula into empirical formula. In the last video, we have covered what is empirical formula and what is molecular formula. And in this video, we are going to learn how, if the molecular formula is given, how we will change into empirical formula, and if the empirical formula is given, how we are going to change into molecular formula. So first we will learn how to change molecular formula into empirical formula. This is very simple. The key point is we just need to simplify the ratio of atoms. So by simplifying the ratio of atom, we can get the empirical formula. For example, glucose has the formula of C6H12 and O6. So elements ratio is 6 ratio 12 ratio 6. So if we want to simplify, we will divide it by 6. So if we divide it by 6, we will get 1 ratio 2 ratio 1. So the formula will be C1, because now the subsequent of C is 1 and H2O. So this is the empirical formula, and this is how we change molecular formula into empirical formula. Let's take another example. So for now we have ethane. Ethane has the formula C2H6, C2H6. So we write down its ratio 2 ratio 6. And if we want to convert into empirical formula, we have to simplify this ratio. If we want to simplify this ratio, we just need to divide it by the smallest number. So the smallest number is 2, so we will divide it by 2. So after simplification, we will get 1 ratio 3, 1 ratio 3. So the formula of ethane will be C3H6. So this is how we change molecular formula into empirical formula. Let's take another example. We can directly write down the empirical formula of this compound C2O2 and H8. So after simplification, we will get C, because if we divide the whole formula by 2, we will get COH4. So this is how we change molecular formula into empirical formula. And in this compound, if we can see that it has 2 in every atom, so when we divide it by 2, we will get CFBRO. So this is the empirical formula of this compound. So changing molecular formula into empirical formula is quite simple. Now we learn how to change empirical formula into molecular formula, the reverse of the step or reverse of this step. So now we change empirical formula to molecular formula. So if we want to change empirical formula into molecular formula, we need to use this formula, molecular. Instead of writing molecular formula, I am writing MF. Molecular formula is equal to n time empirical formula. So how we can find out the value of n? N is equal to molecular formula mass over empirical formula mass. So how we can find out these mass? So the key point is the molecular formula mass will be given in the question statement, will be given in the question statement. They can also ask, the molecular formula can also be represented as molar mass. So we don't need to confuse between molecular formula and molar mass, so both are the same thing. And the empirical formula mass can be calculated by the empirical formula. So when we have the two mass, when we divide them, we will get the molecular formula of the we get the value of n. By using the value of n, we can get the empirical formula of the compound. Let's say for glucose, the question says that molar mass of, this is the practice question, molar mass of glucose is 180. find out its, and its empirical formula is CH2O. So we need to find out its molecular formula. So we know that N is equal to, we have to use the same formula. N is equal to molecular mass over empirical formula mass. We can then, by using this formula, we can find out its mass, its empirical for its molecular formula. So empirical formula mass, molecular formula mass is already given in the question. So how we can find out the empirical formula mass? So empirical formula is CH2O. We just need to add the mass of all the atoms present in this formula. So the mass of carbon is 12. So 12 plus the mass of hydrogen is 1. But now we have two hydrogen atoms, so it will be 2 times 1. And plus oxygen has the mass of 16. So it will be 12 plus 2 plus 16. So 12 plus 2 plus 16. So it will become 30. And now by using formula, what is the molecular formula? What is the molecular mass? So molecular mass or the molar mass is already given in the question, that is 180. So we will divide 180 by what is the empirical formula mass. The empirical formula mass is, we have just found, that is 30. So the value of N is 6. So now if we want to change the empirical formula into molecular formula, we will be using this relation. So that is, molecular formula is equal to N time empirical formula. So molecular formula is equal to N is 6, and what is the empirical formula? CH2O. And if we multiply, so we will get C6H 2 times 6, 12 plus O6. So this is how we get the molecular formula from the empirical formula. In the next video we will learn if the experimental percentage values are given for the compound, then how to derive the empirical formula, and then how to change that empirical formula into the molecular formula.